Before I get into the meat of this video, I should probably talk about Sheridan and what applying to illustration was like this year. It was hard. It was really, it was quite challenging. If you don't know, the subscription to the illustration program was at a 25% increase from previous years. 600 people applied to illustration this year at Sheridan. Only about 104 people could get into that program, with like 12 of those kids being international students. Should I still refer to people my age as kids? I don't know. I didn't get the best score on my sheet to get into Sheridan, but I mean, one of the 93 students who were in the area that got accepted to Sheridan, I think passing is really fantastic. Honestly, if you got accepted, do not feel ashamed at all for your scores for portfolios. Like, you got accepted, you did what you needed to do, and obviously you did it good enough that the professors saw your value as not just an artist, but as a student. Speaking about that, another thing that the Sheridan professors themselves said is that it doesn't matter how fantastic of an artist you are. If you only do sculptures, or if you only do certain kind of paintings, you only do anime, you only do cartoons, you're not going to get in. What is important to put in these portfolios is life drawings and studies. If you don't have your life drawings, if you don't have your studies, if you don't have the basic fundamentals of art, you don't show practicing perspective, practicing color, writing all the time, like write in your sketchbook like it's a journal. It is so important that you put these things down because they want to find good students, not necessarily good artists. So that's something I want to keep in mind. And I'm sure I have a point here. On my final score for Sheridan, I got a 54%. 54 was my final score on my portfolio that I got in total. The cutoff scores for the portfolios was 52. So I made it by two points over. So honestly, I'm not ashamed at all. I am super proud of myself being able to get accepted to school with how much hard work I put in it. I had no portfolio case, nothing since November, and I was able to put this together. So I hope, even if you feel like this is last-ditch effort, you can do it. Like, I believe in you so much. You just have to put a lot of hard work and dedication to show them that you deserve to be there. Like, you know that you do. You have to believe in yourself and put it into your artwork, and you can do it. I believe in you, okay? I believe in you, and now let's get into this review. Okay, so let's start with the drawing test. This year, the drawing test that they wanted was a figure seated and a figure standing. They wanted a room with one light source to show mood and objects in perspective. They wanted the view from outside a window, which is objectively the worst one to do. I'll talk about that more when we get there. And the last one was 3 objects representing yourself as an artist to show composition. So I'm going to start off with the first one here, which is my figure standing. So this one was one that for me personally wasn't that hard of one to do. I draw mainly people. But yeah, this is my friend Cara. She very graciously let me draw her because we shared a spare. And this one I didn't have to do too much touching up on before I submitted it in for a little bit of detail. I did meet up with a girl who's in Sheridan first year. This year, she came in and did a talk for my illustration class, and I was able to show her all of my drawing tests since I had them on hand. So this one she really liked. I did add a little bit of a background in there, and I don't know if you really should or not. I didn't really put much detail into the background at all other than just basic shading to show my figure as she stood there. Yeah, I put a lot of detail into the fabric of the jeans, little details like the rips in it. The hands were okay. I'm fine with the hands. The face, I know sometimes I have a problem making it look a little bit too anime because that is my first ever drawing style or whatnot. I don't really draw like straight anime anymore, but no, I am really happy actually with how this turned out. It shows her figure very well, and I think it captured it very well. This one, like 3 other my drawing tests, got 5 out of 10, so that's halfway through. That's a halfway decent mark. I have no clue what the professors actually did or did not like who were grading my evaluation. Since there was such a massive volume of students applying, I don't know if they've done this years before, but our portfolios were just submitted in and evaluated on our own. We didn't get to go in and have a portfolio interview, which I know many other schools did, where we sat down with a professor, showed them our portfolio, talked about it with them, and then they said what they did like, what they didn't like, etc. That did not happen this year. We did not get individual critiques. We were graded our grades on our sheet and got our stuff back. So that's a good thing to know. I did not know that, and I submitted my portfolio thinking that, oh, it's going to room for me to be interviewed later, and then I freaked out on a tour in front of everyone because I thought I missed my interview and I just blew my future, but you know, it's fine, life goes on. Here's my second part of the figure drawing test. This is a same person. I did her hair a little bit differently. These were on 2 different days, so you know, it might look like a different person, so I might get away with it if they did want 2 different people. But this is my figure seated holding an object. Once again, my friend Cara, she's sitting down reading a book. As you can see, there's like basically no background at all. I was probably going to do this later and I just never got around to doing it, but that's fine because the figure has dark lines and shows texture and fabric folds, showing the face from the side. I don't know if I did that shadow around her eye a little bit too dark. That might have been a problem. Showing her hands and the object. So this was another one that I'm pretty proud of, but I would like to know why I only got a 5 out of 10 for both these ones. These two, the figures, are both graded together, just so you know. Next, I have a interior room with 1 light source. Oh my god, I can't, come here. This one, as you can see, was on a different type of paper. This one I did on watercolor paper because I forgot my nice drawing paper at home, so I had to improvise, which it doesn't matter because to hand these in, you have to scan them anyways. Make sure to do multiple copies because I tested out lightness and darkness and such on my printer before I found which ones I liked best to submit in. You photocopy them and you give them to them, and those are the only copies. Make sure you photocopy them. Even if you don't care for your drawing test, you have to photocopy them. They will not accept anything that's not photocopied. It's extremely important. Anyways, back onto the specific drawing test. Knowledge of perspective lines would probably help you here a little bit. I didn't use perspective lines. I did almost purely from observation, and I noticed now that this line isn't completely straight. Like, it's a little bit leaning a little bit to the right. It should be straightened out a little bit, but I did a lot of shading work here as usual. It's a little bit grainier than the other pieces because, as I said before, this is on watercolor paper, just because it's thick enough that I knew I wouldn't bend it or anything because that would be bad. My light source was a window up on the top of the wall here. I did not use any sort of direct lighting. Once again, I don't know what the professor's like, so I would also suggest maybe doing a full view of a room where you could see both walls, the ceiling, and maybe say if it's a light source like a ceiling light, to have that into the photo. I did put these trees in here. These trees weren't exactly in this part of the photo when I drew them. They were off a little bit off to the side, like you can only see the side of the branches, but I decided to make the creative choice to move them over so you could definitely see that this is a window leading outside, and that's where the light source is coming from see reflections in this whiteboard here and the shadow. So you just have to show the shadows and how the light affects the room, and then you're pretty peachy, bud. You don't have to put as much stuff in it as I did. I just thought that would add a little bit more detail, and I knew I'd be able to do it. This one also got a 5 out of 10, and I totally believe it's that I only did a shrunk off piece of this room. I drew this while lying on the couch in this room. This is my school's student council room, and I was just lying on the couch and drawing it. You might want to do something a little bit more fully rendered of the entire room. The next drawing is the window and the view outside the window. I hate this one. And this one is the worst in my opinion. This one takes the longest. It's the most tedious. It's a lot of work. And as you can see, I did not show much of the inside of this room. I've seen others show the windows through a door, like a patio door or such. These are best done when you can clearly see a building outside the window, like say in the suburbs and you can see your neighbor's house. Something like that with closer viewing trees is something that the professors are looking for. I actually neglected this piece and didn't put as many branches as there are actually on my tree outside. I did kind of like how I did did show the bush that's behind my house with the gradients to kind of show the volume of it. I do have some houses over here, which I don't think they're that bad. I should have put a little bit more value into them so you could see them a little bit clearer, have some other trees in distance or whatnot, and right outside my window is a field, so it was full of snow, and I was trying to show that a little bit, but I don't think it's as clear as it could be. I totally recommend doing something with a direct house outside or direct tree or something not so far away or not so drastic as I did. I am not happy with this piece. I knew that this outside wouldn't be that entertaining, so I put a lot of my value into drawing the windowsill itself with all of its intricate details and all of its different values, which was a pain in the ass to do. If you have curtains, put a lot of value and detail into them. My curtains are black, so I didn't initially see as much value into them. I looked at the fabric closer than what I could see from where I'm sitting drawing this, and I studied the values and the different curves of the curtain so I could put a little bit more value and a bit more interesting value into this piece. Yeah, that was a terrible sentence, but we're gonna move on because I can't stand looking at this. This is my last piece, and this one got my best score of all my drawing tests. These are the 3 objects that mean something to you as an artist to show composition. This one got a 6 out of 10, while all my other ones got a 5 out of 10, and I can see why. This one is my personal favorite piece. I was doing a lot of still lifes in class before this, so this was kind of a no-brainer for me. This one, I did have to go in afterwards and add in some darker values, and I think that really added the extra points into this piece, was adding the darker values at the closest to the objects, and where it's really drastic, like in between the sock monkey's head and right there in its crotch. Other than that, I added a lot of value. I would suggest choosing objects that, while they do mean something to you, have interesting textures. I had very smooth headphones that I wanted to capture kind of like that smoothness of in the fabric and kind of see something plush to it. I had a very shiny pot for my cactus, and you can see my cactus is really fucking weird. Like, he grew really awkwardly. The knitted fabric of the sock monkey and such, so just something that you can try to build up as much value and as much texture as you possibly can, because I think that is something that makes a really cool piece. Other than that, as it said on the drawing test, they're looking for composition, so do something interesting. I really played with layering these pieces over top of each other. I kind of wish it was digital so I could move it over a little bit, because how close the monkey's foot is to this edge kind of bothers me, but you know, whatever. I like it, and it did good, so we're gonna move on. Okay, so for my portfolio, I just opened up here with a quick self-portrait. I did this with pencil and a little bit of watercolor in the background just to add a little bit more contrast to really make myself pop as the subject of it. I decided to do something a little bit more interesting, so I did a figure with me holding my guitar while playing it. I just drew this looking at a video that I took of myself playing guitar to hand into my guitar class. I just introduced myself at the top with a quick little name card. I did do something over here where I put a little guitar joke in the side. It does make it look a little bit less professional, and I would suggest not doing that, even though I made a funny. No, just don't include anything like that. It makes it look a little bit less professional. And even though it's not labeled as a piece, it's probably best just to leave that out of there. Be funny in your own time, kids. Next things next, I included a zine, and this is another one that, while I like it, I don't think it might have been that good of a thing to include in, because in order to get it, you gotta like dive in and pull her out. If you do want to include a zine, I'd maybe suggest, I was kind of leaning away from my mic there, I would maybe suggest photocopying it and having each page, or maybe like if you want to show the actual traditional version of it, cut it up. It's kind of sad that you have to destroy it, but you know, whatever works better than having like make them work for your artwork. If they even opened it, I don't even know if they actually went in there, just like, okay, whatever, we're not doing that. Anyway, so I'll just quickly flip through my little, oh my gosh, I just undid the bow. Quickly go through my little zine. I did this with pencil, crayon, and pen. I could explain why there's pink lace on a bunch of drawings of lions, but I'm not going to, because, like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to get you into school, child. I believe in you. Next things next, I did a couple figure studies. These are done in pen, I think. Oh, no, pencil crayon was done for the blue sketch underneath, and then I kind of outlined her. Not kind of, I did. I outlined her in pen. Let's get it. Boom, into the light. You can real see her now. Did her in pen. Maybe I should use another time when the sun's better, but you know what? Never mind, we're already here. The next one I have down here, I did a gouache base, same thing, figure study with pen, and I added a little bit of glitter here and there, so when you move it, it kind of shines like stars. Figure drawings, the most important thing to put in your portfolio. If you don't have finalized pieces, put them in your sketchbook. As you see here, these are both cut from the same kind of tan paper. They're different sizes so they could fit in the page together. But figure drawings, like, these were just originally just sketches, but I made them a little bit cleaner and I put them into my portfolio. If you don't have them in here, put them in your sketchbook. They're a must-have. They show that you know the fundamentals of arts, and the professors want to know you know the fundamentals of arts. That's what gets you in. You want to be a good student. Next things next, I have a digital portrait that I did here. Just a simple square. I did this in Clip Studio Paint and Paint Tool Sci. Here, this is what's important, okay? Like, this is cool or whatever, but this is the important thing. Process work, process work, process work, process work. I have here my reference image. I have the pixelized reference image that I used to color select the palette that went into this piece over here, the finalized piece. And then I have each of my saved pieces. So these are each part of my save file. So as I save as I went, oh gosh, terrible English. So I saved as I went, and these are all PNGs of each save file to show all the way up to the final image. Very important, very neat looking. It makes you look very professional, and they love it. They want to see how you got to this. Next thing is a sculpture that I did. If you have sculptures, you just take photos of them, different angles to show texture. It's a typography structure that I did, talking about left brain, right brain theory. More process work, because we love that. We love process work here. You better love process work too, because it is your best friend. A lot of writing showing what each of these things meant to me. This was done before I did this. Like, this is real process work. I don't like to fabricate things. Like, if you have to, you can, whatever, but it really shows how genuine stuff is when it's real. This is a photocopy of it because it was too big, so I sized it down. Do what you need to do, get that in there. My more concept, trying to figure out what I want to do for typography, and these are close-ups of the sculpture and what it looked like up close, show the texture and such. I used Clip Studio Paint to make all of these images. Whenever I took a picture of something or printed something out, Clip Studio Paint was my favorite. You just do it in Photoshop, just resizing it, put the appropriate amount of border that I want in there, have things together I wanted, properly sized. Just do your work that you need to do. Like, my portfolio, sure, it took me a lot of time to make the work, but like a lot of the work was already done. It takes a long time to put a portfolio together with all the printing and the typing and measuring and describing. It takes a long time. So give yourself enough time to do it. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay, so this piece, I also applied to York, and the professor who had my interview stated that, well, yeah, this one's nice, but like, anyone can do this. Like, this is not my finest piece of artwork, and I don't even like it that much, but it's fully done in acrylic and like very tightly put, like very tight to the lines. Like, there's no real white in there other than the place where I left it white. But like, anyone can do this. But what makes it impressive is back to our best friend, concept art, because you can see how I went from this to this. Looking back on it, I wouldn't include in my portfolio because I still think they're kind of lame and I don't like it. This was my culminating piece from grade 11. But like, I don't know. It doesn't really show that much of my knowledge of anatomy. Like, I could just do another acrylic piece, but it was there. I had the work. And like, it's fine. Like, it's not my best piece of work, but it's fine. I I don't know if I brought my mark down because we got no individual comments, but like I wouldn't, if I did this again, I wouldn't include this piece because I'm kind of embarrassed almost of it. So that's not what you want. Showing variety in my artwork. This is a little spray paint project that I did for my school. A picture of me doing it to show scale. I don't know if that's what they clued in what this is about, but like that's what that was about. Is I'm trying to show the scale other than the exact scale, like listed below. Stencil, and then exact photos of it. I think this was a good one. Like, it's not the most impressive piece of art, but it's something different, and I'm showing variety, and they like a little bit of variety. It makes you a little bit spicy, so I think this is a good piece that I put in my portfolio. So moving on, digital stuff. These ones are kind of nice because they showed something that's to do with illustration. I have album cover redesigns over here for the song Peace Sign, My Hero Academia Opening 2. Didn't clue that in. I just clued about the actual artist, so I don't look like a weeb, because they might not like me if I was a weeb. Over here, some grid journal series, which I don't know, once again, if I would do this again, if I would include these in, just because, like, they're kind of amateur hour. Like, anyone can put, like, 9 photos together to, like, show, like, a mood or anything. But, I mean, like they tie in together, so, like, they're pretty, but they're not really, they're nothing special. Like, they're really amateur hour. But, like, I just wanted something to complement this, and I think together they work very well. But if I was just put a random page with just these, I don't think that would be the best thing, Chief. Moving on. It's just my culminating piece from my grade 12. And I have to say, like, I love this piece. I love it so much. But this is just another photo of it. Like, this isn't at all the actual piece. All my pieces are way too big. I couldn't fit any of them in my portfolio. They were so stupidly massive. If you are creating your art pieces right now, like if you're working on your culminatings, make sure the art pieces aren't so big that you can't actually put them in your portfolio. Size everything down to where you need them so you can actually include them in. Great, like look at how much process work this is. I really love this piece. I totally say, do something watercolor. Like, watercolor is fun, and there's so many different techniques you can use, salt, crayons, like, there's so much you can do with this. There's so much you can do with watercolor. Totally do it. Do whatever's your strength, but, like, you want to show so much variety. Like, this isn't the most realistic portrait ever in the world, but, like, I really like it. What can I say? The color palette's really cool. It's really autumny. Like, do what you like. More digital stuff, so I can get away with actually having to print stuff of Nancy from Momoland. Once again, didn't clue in that it was for K-pop because I didn't want to look amateur hour. But this is a low poly portrait, little vector kind of portrait that I did. I actually did this in Google Draw. Horrible program. I just did it because it's for class. But look, it looks really cool. It looks really neat. It looks really professional, and that's something that you want in your portfolio. You can see that I know what I'm doing when it comes to anatomy and shadows. So that's something that you want. Also playing with a little bit of color, which is really nice. Geometric forms. This was, I took textures and I converted them into objects, and then I put them into almost crystallized looking forms, and then I overlapped them over top of a background of some sort to create interesting compositions. Fun. It's a fun piece to do, and I'd say yeah, do it. It's something cool. It's nothing really, at least I didn't make anything with real purpose. I made them to look like t-shirts or album covers or something, but you know what? You could do better than me. Like, do this project because it's fun and it looks really professional, and do it better than me, please. I want to see that. Moving on is a landscape. I don't know if this is true, but a little birdie told me that landscapes are really important to put in your portfolio. I did this one like the week before the portfolio was due because I heard that and I thought, shit, I don't have a single landscape at all in my portfolio. This is of my family's property up north. We have little swamps. It's just beautiful water. My dad took this photo, actually. I did this one completely in gouache, which is a medium that I hadn't used before, but I actually really end up liking it. You can use a lot of techniques I use with watercolor, but it comes in thicker like acrylic. Gouache, I think, is a great thing to put in portfolio. Same with landscapes. So gouache landscapes, there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube. I looked up some for some reference because I've never done this before, and I really like this piece, so I totally recommend doing something like this. You definitely do more. Do way more. Like, do a whole freaking series of landscapes. You don't have to just do them in one medium. Like, you do them in a bunch of different mediums to show, like, value or whatever. Like, ooh, oh my gosh, you could do one with, like, ink wash and, like, show the values of it. Oh, that'd be really cool. Oh my gosh, do that. That sounds really cool. Moving on though, grid journal right here, trying to convey like kind of a story through different snapshots, close things, octopus, trees, frog, girl, sushi. I did this one, I think, back in grade 11, so it's an old piece, and wasn't something I was originally meaning to put into my portfolio, but I did find it, and I thought, that's cool, and I could put it in. And if I were to do this now, I would definitely choose pieces that had a bit more texture. Like I can see I have like a corner of a door here. I recommend doing a full door, like things with much better value, much better texture, much better shadows and depth. This was just once again that I'd found. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's so bad. Something without that terrible perspective building. Something with a lot more detail, and you have something really cool here. Once again, this was kind of a last minute ad, but something that I did kind of like, so I thought that'd be a nice thing to add in. This is an anatomical illustration, kind of like a medical one, where I was playing with smoking and the damage it has on lungs. And once again, this was a piece I did traditionally, but was way too big, and I couldn't end up putting it into my portfolio. So here's just a little bit more close-ups of the actual piece. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening with the sun right now. It keeps going farther on my desk, and I wish I would just cover my whole desk so everything could be nice and light, not just a quarter of my pieces. But I did a lot of research for anatomy, for muscle groups and such, and I played with a little bit more color. I'm really proud of this piece, and I'm glad it's in my portfolio. I feel like there's not a lot that I'm really not proud of in my portfolio. It's still pretty fresh, though, too, so, wait another year, I'll probably hate everything in here, but this is what got me in, so, let's be happy about it. Oh, yes. So, as I mentioned before, I'm currently in illustration program. That was part of my second semester. First semester, I had a general media arts course and general visual arts course, so nothing was really high-tuned for illustration. And I'm so happy for this illustration course. I was able to get 2 projects done before I had to go for my portfolio evaluation. Because even now, I have many more projects that I'm like, oh shoot, I wish I had those in time to put in my portfolio. But here we are with our studies, which is the first thing we did in class. So I have a tool illustration here of little pliers and a railroad nail, which were a great add-in for this portfolio, showing value, showing the texture of it, the rust. I could actually, looking at this now, add a bit more darker shadows closer to the tool, but this is something you should definitely have in. Just put objects in front of you and draw them. Like, fill up the entire portfolio full of them. I do know it says on the website only go up to 20 pieces, but I also know people who got in the program who filled up like their entire portfolio case full of artwork. They just filled the entire thing with life studies and a bunch of observational work. Speaking of which, this is another illustration I did, a food illustration of a mushroom, and I believe this is basil. I don't know, some kind of herb, and I did this with watercolor once again, which is a pretty impressive medium if done right, and I think with the texture and colors, I did it pretty right. The shadows here could be a little bit darker, but other than that, great thing. And this is the kind of things that they want to see, so do more of this. Like, seriously, you could fill up your whole portfolio, or a lot of your portfolio, with just this, and I'm sure you'll do way better than I did. Like, honestly, do way better than I did. That's what I want to see. And that's the end of this part of my portfolio. So yeah, there's your tippies. I'm probably going to end this video here on a high note, and I will make a part 2 where I go over my sketchbook. I could cover what my second half of my score for the Sheridan was, but it also includes stuff that happened in my sketchbook. So even seeing these scores right here, keep in mind that a lot of them could have came from my sketchbook, which I'll show another time. So thank you very much for this little look into my portfolio and my drawing test, and I hope it was helpful, and I hope I can help you next time. So thank you very much. Please like the video if you like. Check out my other social medias, mostly my Instagram. I post those there, so I'll see you next time for that little flip through my sketchbook. Thanks. Bye-bye.